Oh, it is a BT first. It is our honor to have a legendary civil rights activist from the U.S. as well as a two-time presidential candidate as well joining us here. Please give it up for the Reverend Dr. Jesse Jackson. Thank you so much for having us. Thank you so much for coming here today this morning and sharing some time with us this morning. It is really an honor to have you here in the station.
It's a wonderful opportunity. You know, we are here with the National Bar Association. The largest body of black lawyers on earth, really, 75,000 strong. And it's in a strange way, our civil rights movement began in Canada. They came to Niagara, to Buffalo, New York, and they had no place to stay. Across the border, and formed, Dr. Du Bois formed the NAACP. Wow. In Canada, so we've come full circle.
See, and that's something, it's rare things like that that we don't really know about, that history, at least even on our end here in Canada.
It's called the Great Niagara Movement. And they came at that time to stop lynching. 5,000 blacks were lynched between 1880 and 1940. Now we're facing the issue of blacks being shot in the back by police. But the crown jewel of our struggle is the protected right to vote. Today at 10 o'clock, we have a very historic press conference. The National Bar Association, Rainbow Push Coalition, is having a press conference on the Commission on Voter Suppression. Now, Mr. Trump has formed one on voter fraud. There's no voter fraud. There's consumer fraud. There's no voter fraud. So we're forming a commission on voter suppression today to offset the impact of the attempt of diminishing and nullifying our votes.
Now, I mean, you've been an advocate for fair voting and for voters' rights for years. Obviously, you marched on Selma as well with Martin Luther King and John Lewis and so on, and you were marching there for voter rights. And then what do you feel like now, decades later, you're out doing this tour around the U.S. to try to promote voter suppression? Trump
represents a kind of countercultural revolution.
Yeah.
All that we fought for is now under attack. The protected right to vote is under attack. Climate protection is under attack. Women's rights under attack. Workers' rights under attack. Human rights are under attack. And we tried to ban the Muslims and tried to lock out the refugees and build a wall with Mexico. So we're facing an unusual season, yet I'm convinced America is strong enough resistance enough to stop this onslaught. It is a very ugly season.
Right, and are you confident as well, you know, you fought for all these rights decades ago, coming back now to today, and you're having to fight for them again. Are you confident that you'll be able to build that back up and not have to see, you know, a reversal? Well,
there's a kind of to and fro. In many ways, Mr. Trump bemoans the fact that he lost by 3 million, yet he won by technicality of the Electoral College. Really is a slave institution. You had the Confederate flags, the monuments, and Confederate legislation. He won by that margin. But in many ways, Hillary Clinton won the election. And he's anxious about that. But more than the election itself is that the chaos in the White House, the attack on basic rights. You know, we've globalized technology, we've globalized capital, we've not globalized human rights. Workers' rights, women and children's environmental rights, and that's the unfinished business of our struggle. So the 10 o'clock press conference should be an historic one where the National Bar is accepting our call to form a Rainbow Push National Bar Association Commission on voter suppression in contrast to voter fraud.
Right. And also, you're going to be talking to a lot of people here in the community, the black community and beyond, really, about trying to bridge a gap with the community here in Canada, along with the community in the United States. What do you think that benefit will be?
Africans in the diaspora must all understand our connection. We all have our roots from Africa to Brazil to the South, Central Latin America to North America to Canada. Many African Americans escaped slavery and went over to the Canada side. There's a history here. But whoever you are, don't self-destruct and don't self-degrade. Don't go for the diversion of drugs and violence. And if you do your best against the odds, chances are good things will come your way.
And, you know, famously, you were a peace advocate. You were a nonviolent protester and activist. And, you know, now in the climate that we have today, we have Black Lives Matter in the U.S. and here in Toronto as well that are, especially here in Toronto, they have protested. Many call them disruptive, but they are making gains and making changes in a nonviolent way.
They call Dr. King disruptive. They call Jesus disruptive. This challenge, of course, is this generation must take us from racial battleground to economic common ground to moral higher ground. We must make that fundamental shift. We must not go backwards on the race. We must build racial bridges, not walls. We must close the gap between those who have more than they need, those who don't have enough, and then have some sense of the joy. You know, when the Toronto Blue Jays play the Yankees, or the Raptors play the Bulls, we can accept the outcome because the playing field is even, and the rules are public, and the goals are clear, and the referees are fair. The score is transparent. We want an even field and access to medicine, and law, and jobs, and justice.
All right. Thank you very much for joining us. We really do appreciate it. Oh, absolutely.
And Mrs. Sagwa?
Okay, you almost got it, Mrs. Saga. So, yeah, so...
As in Mississippi.
Yeah, exactly. Almost like Mississippi. We were talking about where we grew up.
Indigenous names.
Yeah, indigenous names as well. And that's the thing. You have been an advocate for not just the Black community, but for the indigenous community, for the environment. You were down at Standing Rock as well, just protesting the pipeline in North Dakota. You are a busy, busy man. You have been for decades.
Well, Columbus never got to America, but he discovered the indigenous, that he found them. They were here. They were ripped off and destroyed by nations before. That was before 1400 slavery came. To this day, 1619, slaves landed in Jamestown, Virginia. This is a historic day. But we must never forget our indigenous roots in this Canadian, North America, South America foundation. So it's a very historic moment.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you so much.
So come to our 10 o'clock press conference today.
Okay. 10 o'clock press conference. It's happening down at City Hall, I believe, as well. And
that's this afternoon.
This afternoon you're speaking to some community members down at City Hall as well. And we're so glad to see you here for the National Bar Association convention. It's the first time that they're having an international convention, and they chose Toronto to do it. So thank you so much for joining us. Reverend Jesse Jackson, again, it was an honor to have you here in the studio. All right.